If I'm allowed to speak honestly, this is one of my favorite what-if videos I've ever had the pleasure of working on. The emotional depth, the charge between characters, and the growth of our heroes has left me as surprised as you must all be. I still have lots left to tell, so I'd be honored if you'd join me as I weave the rest of this tale. A tale of how a simple act of kindness snowballed into a heroic life of self-sacrifice and love, mending the world as it was always meant to be. This is one of the longest video series I've worked on, and it's special. If you've not seen the previous 6 chapters, I implore you to watch those first. I know it seems daunting, but I promise you won't be disappointed, and it'll make this chapter even better. Don't worry, this video is not going anywhere. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. We've noticed that a lot of our viewers aren't actually subscribed to our channel, so if you want to get the latest videos as soon as possible, and if you really want to help us out, make sure you hit that subscribe button. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. If you're still here, I assume that means you're ready for this story, so let's continue. The wind blew as the freshly grown grass and cherry trees lined the path. Yamato must have worked so hard on this, the most beautiful parkway in all of Konoha. And why wouldn't he? It was the pathway that led to the cemetery where those who gave their life in defense of Konoha were interred and memorialized. Today, Naruto had a bouquet of flowers. These were the birth flower of babies born in July, and today just happened to be July 23rd, Sasuke's birthday. He walked to the stone tablet that marked where Sasuke was buried and laid the flowers down. Sakura and Konohamaru weren't far behind. Each had decided to give the others privacy and a moment to spend with their friend. Naruto knelt down by the headstone and pushed a little debris from it so it could be properly read. He let off a weak smile that was so light one might not have even noticed it. "It's been a long and hard road, brother," he said as his finger traced the name engraved on the stone. "I sometimes can't help but wonder how things might have been different if it had been you here fighting for Konoha and me, well, here. You had so much to live for, and yet you gave it all up just to keep me safe. With you gone, your clan is now extinct, and that's a separate tragedy. I really wish I was able to save you. The world could have used Sasuke a lot more than Naruto." He stood and looked down. "But I suppose I shouldn't get all mopey in front of you. It's your birthday and I don't want to ruin it. Happy birthday, big bro. I hope that you can see the world through this Rinnegan I have now. I hope I'm making you proud." Naruto turned to walk away and saw Sakura coming, holding her own bouquet. She had tears in her eyes that she wiped away as she smiled. A truly bittersweet moment. As she walked past, he put his hand on her shoulder to give a little comfort. Naruto would look over toward the statue of the Will of Fire and see Kakashi standing there, admiring the red monument. Naruto would slowly make his way over. "Kakashi-sensei, did you come to see Sasuke too?" Kakashi continued to look at the statue, reading the inscription. "I came here to honor a lot of my friends." There was silence for a time. He looked to Naruto. "You know, you remind me of myself in a way. I too was gifted a Sharingan by a friend I considered a brother." Kakashi lifted the sash over his eye. Naruto looked at it. He had known Kakashi had always had a transplanted Sharingan, but never really asked about it. Kakashi sat down on a bench nearby. Naruto sat beside Kakashi. "What was your friend's name?" "It was Obito Uchiha, and he was a boy with a heart of immeasurable size. If I could be half as kind and caring as he, then I would consider myself a saint." Naruto nodded. "I'm sorry for your loss, sensei." "I'm sorry for yours too, Naruto." He put his arm around Naruto and the two just sat there. As sad as days like this are, they do get easier. All wounds heal with time. They can leave a nasty scar, but in our line of work, a scar is a badge to show experience, and a tool used to help others heal. To be a shinobi is to be more than just a fighter or someone who knows ninjutsu. A true shinobi is someone who looks out for others and helps everyone without bias, especially when they're in their lowest point. You're going to make a fine shinobi, Naruto. The key entered the lock on the door and turned, unlatching it. Naruto opened the door with Konohamaru behind him. They stepped in and immediately felt the AC and smelled the smell of their home, which smelled a little like sweat and ramen mixed with air freshener. They left their shoes at the door and stepped in deeper and began to boil cups of water. Naruto then grabbed some instant ramen and sat it down on the table. The difference this time was that there were 3 cups instead of just 2. They were expecting company. Not too long after, they heard a knock on the door. Konohamaru opened it up and saw Sakura, who stepped in, carrying a small duffel bag with everything she would need to stay the night. "Ready for the sleepover?" she asked with a smile in her eyes as she ruffled Konohamaru's hair. His eyes sparkled as he nodded and let her in. Naruto was just now pouring the water into the cups of ramen to let it cook. The three of them sat down, said a blessing over the food, and began to eat. Sakura smiled. "This reminds me of old time. Yumi and Sasuke used to do this a lot. Whenever we had the chance, we'd have a sleepover. We really were just a big family. Still are, too. And now we have another little brother to spend time with." Naruto nodded and didn't say anything as he continued to eat. They would watch some TV, play a few games, and ultimately just spend time with each other. But it was obvious that having a good time was going to be hard. After all, who could really enjoy a birthday party when the birthday boy wasn't present? They lit the candles on the cake, 17 to be exact. The three of them stood by it as Sakura took a picture. All three would then blow out the candles and cut the cake. After eating it, they'd prepare for bed. 3 rolls on the living room floor. Konohamaru was fast asleep, and Sakura was attempting to fall asleep as well. Naruto was having a far harder time though. After a while, he stood up and opened the door that led to the balcony. He stepped out on it and leaned on the railing lazily as he gazed out over the sleepy village, the moonlight blanketing the landscape in a pale blue color. He looked out at the ghetto statue he'd summoned. It was now covered and hidden, an Anbu presence constantly remaining vigilant to defend it from any possible threat. Ever since he had gained the Rinnegan, things had changed for him. He was no longer allowed to leave the village, and was barely allowed to go anywhere inside the village unless it was absolutely necessary. His visit today was the first time in a week he was allowed out of his apartment. He was the village's hero, and he knew this. Donzo Shimura knew this too. But the one thing they both knew but never mentioned was that Naruto right now was a prisoner. Maybe he was allowed to stay home, see friends, and get whatever he wanted, but the fact remained that he was a prisoner. But as he continued to look out at the village, he remembered that his Sharingan had evolved. It was far more powerful now than it ever had been. What had happened, Naruto didn't know, but he began to realize that whatever it was Sasuke's potential and not his own. Had Sasuke remained alive, he would have far surpassed everything Naruto was. Naruto looked down again. This was always the hardest time. The 2 hardest days of the year. The date of Sasuke's birth and the date of his death. At about that moment, Sakura stepped out behind him. He looked over his shoulder at her for a moment and then back to the village. "What's the matter, Naruto? Couldn't sleep?" He shook his head. She came up to the edge beside him, looking out over the village. "It really is beautiful at night." She looked over at Naruto to see tears streaming down his face. "Oh, Naruto." His eyes were shut tightly as his head seemed to look down and to the right, as if trying to hide tears. Like he was embarrassed. She took his cheeks in her hands and raised them to face her thumbs wiping the tears from his cheeks. "It's okay to be sad, Naruto. Sasuke wouldn't be mad. If you need to cry, you can cry." His lip quivers a little. "It just hurts so much. I thought I was over it all, but sometimes, when I'm heating up the water for ramen, I look back to Konohamaru and call him Sasuke when asking what flavor he wants. Does this pain ever really go away?" She seemed to tear up a little too. She shook her head. "No, it doesn't. He left a hole in our hearts that we can't fill. That we wouldn't want to fill even if we could." He stood there sniffling. "I wish it had been me. I know you loved him. You loved Sasuke, and because of me, he's gone. You must hate me." Sakura almost seemed appalled. "Hate you? I could never hate you. You didn't kill Sasuke. Sasuke gave up his life so you could live." Naruto continued to cry. "His clan is gone, and your chances of being with someone who makes you happy are gone, and it's because of me." Suddenly, Sakura pressed her lips into his. At first, he was surprised, but as time continued to pass and she continued to kiss him, he gave in and instinctively began to reciprocate. All the while, Konohamaru from within watched with a smile on his face. He turned over to his side to give them privacy and went back to sleep. The next morning, as the sun rose, it cast a new light down on everything as Naruto awakened to the kind gaze of Sakura laying in her roll beside him, the distance between their respective rolls being about 0. She rubbed his cheek gently with her hand as she smiled. He also smiled. Things today just felt better. And as he fixed breakfast, Naruto seemed to do so with a pep in his step, a dance in his stride. A man in love. Sakura giggled and pointed over. "You're gonna burn the eggs. Pay attention, Naruto." He smiles. "It's called caramelization. The black on it means that it's good." Konohamaru was resisting every urge to declare Sakura and Naruto to be sitting in a tree. The 3 of them had breakfast together. After this, Sakura stood and grabbed her things. "Well, I need to be off. My family will be expecting me." Naruto waved as she left. Konohamaru sat there, his head propped up against one hand as he smiled. You two are so cute together. Naruto's face turned a little red. What do you mean? Konohamaru laughed as he fell back. There's no way you think others can't see it. It's so cute. Danzo stood by the statue within the gate they had set up. A sensory shinobi came up to him. Sir, we've confirmed that this statue currently houses the tailed beasts that have been reportedly stolen from the other shinobi villages. Danzo looked up at the statue. This was the super weapon the Akatsuki had formed. This is what they were planning to use to destroy. That meant two things. Number one, Konoha was now in control of what was perhaps the most powerful weapon on the face of the earth, and number two, the Akatsuki would come for it. This meant that Konoha would soon become a battlefield. It was dangerous, yes, but at the same time, it would be far harder to protect it outside of the village. So it was at that moment that Danzo decided to take the statue and have it moved to a location under the village where it could be properly hidden. One day, the village folk were looking at the statue, and a second later, it disappeared with a puff of smoke, as if it had never really been there. As Danzo and his people studied it, they came to realize that the Rinnegan was required to control this beast, which meant that Pain had been the only one capable of making use of it. But with Pain's death, his Rinnegan had disappeared. No matter how much Danzo looked for them, they were gone. But that didn't leave him without other options. Naruto possessed a Rinnegan, and currently he was the only one with the means to control this. But as Danzo thought about it, he continued to realize that he shouldn't and couldn't just stop there. This super weapon was incomplete. If he could finish what the Akatsuki had started, he might just be able to secure Konoha's future. Perhaps unite all nations under the flag of the leaf. He himself would become the most powerful man in the world, and the world would know peace. All the while, Danzo was unaware that he was being watched. Naruto was just walking down the streets towards the marketplace to pick up some produce, and he was whistling as he walked. The villagers who had once hated and feared him now waved as he came closer. He was no longer that little demon that threatened the village. He was their hero. He saved their lives. As Naruto walked back to his apartment, he stopped by the door and prepared to pull out his key. Fumbling around with the bags in his hand trying to get the key out, he puts the produce down and produces a key. Suddenly, a voice, gruff and tired, calls out to him. Having a hard time? He looks up to see Danzo Shimura standing there. Lord Fifth, it's an honor to have you here. Danzo looks around. You've been doing well. You've been doing Konoha a favor by keeping yourself hidden. But now I believe that it's okay for you to leave your home. I'm adamant that you're no longer a target of the Akatsuki, but there is something new that you need to do for your village, child. The power in your eye controls the statue. The statue's the Akatsuki's weapon that they've been building up to destroy the world with. Such a power cannot fall into the wrong hands. And so, that eye you possess, you must give it to me. Naruto is startled. His hand goes up over his Rinnegan. My eye? Danzo's hand extends to him. You will be well compensated. Naruto looked at him. No, I can't. Danzo's face twisted in disappointment. This isn't a request. This is a direct order from your Hokage. Give me your Rinnegan and you shall be compensated. Naruto shook his head. I understand the value this eye must have, but I can't just give it over. It's a treasure from a friend. A brother. The Leaf can ask me to do anything for them, you know that. I'm loyal to my home. But this is the one thing you can't ask me to do. This Rinnegan was a gift from Sasuke, and when I took it, I vowed to show him the world with it. I let him experience life through my own eyes just as he let me see through his. I am truly sorry, Lord Fifth. I'll act and use it for you in the village, but I won't give it to you. Danzo's hands gripped his cane a little tighter. How unfortunate. He snapped his fingers. Suddenly, surrounding Naruto were members of the Anbu. Danzo raised his hand. Take the Rinnegan from him, and once you have it, take the Nine Tails as well. We must have both to awaken the weapon. Naruto's eyes widened. Wait, if you do that, I'll die. Danzo looked to him through his squinted eyes. You were the one who said you would do whatever the Leaf asked you to do, and right now it asks that you die in its sacrifice, granting us both the Nine Tails and the Rinnegan. The Anbu moved in. Naruto managed to open the door and close it behind him, locking it. He began to run through the apartment as suddenly the door behind him was blown off its hinges. He pushed himself out onto the balcony as more Anbu agents came at him. He jumped off from the ledge to the ground below, where he formed a multitude of shadow clones and began to scatter in different directions with them. The Anbu would split up and chase after. Danzo stepped out onto the balcony. Find him, and when you do, bring him to me. Konohamaru was on his way back to the apartment after a routine checkup. Every 6 months he had to do one since he was an active duty shinobi, but this wasn't because he needed to have it done. Ever since he died to pain and came back, he'd been paranoid. He had kissed death, and it had cradled him in its cold arms before Naruto ripped him back out. He was probably just paranoid, but he wanted to make sure that there were no issues. Just then, he sees the apartment and his blood runs cold. "Oni-chan!" He runs through the door, stepping over the debris and through the ransacked home. "Oni-chan!" he calls out, but there's no answer. Something was wrong. He jumped over the railing to the ground and saw many footprints, a few of them bearing Naruto's sandals. But what was worse, there were other boots also giving chase. Someone was after Naruto. Konohamaru ran to Sakura's house and beat on the door. "Sakura-chan! Sakura-chan, it's an emergency! Open up!" He heard the sound of feet shuffling and fumbling, a loud thud, a vase breaking, and an expletive. The door eventually opened up and Sakura was standing there. "What is it? Is someone hurt? Is everyone okay?" Konohamaru was out of breath. "Oni-chan, Naruto is gone! I think someone's after him." Sakura seemed shocked. "Show me." Danzo sat there in his chair, frustrated. Despite the fact that he was just a genin being chased by the Anbu's most elite group, Root, he somehow managed to elude them. And now both the Rinnegan and the Ninetales were gone. It was then that an Anbu agent walked in and bowed. Danzo let him come closer. The Anbu looked to him. "We have something for you." The agent placed a small packet on the desk before Danzo. Danzo picked it up and was shocked. "Is this the Rinnegan? How did you get it?" The agent looked up. "The group you sent undercover to Ame managed to pilfer this from a storehouse. The last surviving Rinnegan that was possessed by pain." Danzo took it. "You've done a wonderful job to bring this to me. Now all we need is the 8 tails and the 9 tails to activate it." "That should not be as hard as it seems. We found a horn of the 8 tails within one of Orochimaru's laboratories. It should suffice to activate the statue. All that's required now is the 9 tails chakra." Danzo thinks for a moment and smiles. "I think I know how we might be able to procure that." Sakura and Konohamaru followed the various tangled web of boot prints for a time. In most cases, they came to an abrupt stop, but one of them didn't. One set of boots continued on to the edge of the village. "Naruto left Konoha," Sakura said with surprise in her voice. "But why?" Konohamaru asked. "It's obvious he was being chased by something, but what?" They continued to examine the chaser's footprints. "Look at this," Sakura said as she pointed to the boot. "See this extra set of holes here? These marks are from extra cleats that most shinobi footwear doesn't possess. Only one group needs this extra set of cleats, the Anbu." Konohamaru was confused. "But why is the Anbu chasing Oni-chan?" Sakura shrugged. "I don't know, but it can't be good." Sakura looked at Konohamaru. "It's funny that this happened right after they moved that big statue Naruto summoned. It might have something to do with his Rinnegan. We need to find him. Issue is, I don't know where Naruto would go if he ever left the village." Konohamaru thought about it. "I might know." Sakura nodded. "Okay, then you should go." Konohamaru seemed confused. "But wait, what do you plan on doing then?" Sakura smiled. "I've got to look out for the Anbu. I want to see what they're up to, so I'm going to do a little digging. Here." She pulls out a flip phone. "You can use this to call me if you need to." Konohamaru took it and pocketed it. She kisses Kono's forehead for good luck and sees him off. After that, she walks back. "Now, let's see if I can get Kakashi on our side." Konohamaru would walk for quite some time, making his way to Jiraiya's home. He knocks on the door and the old white-haired man appears before him, having just been awakened from his sleep. "It's 2 in the morning. What could you possibly want to sell me at this hour?" He squints. "Konohamaru, is that you?" "Hi, Uncle Jiraiya." "It's been a while, Kono. What have you been up to?" "Nothing much. I'm looking for Naruto, though. After he fought Pain, he developed a Rinnegan, and now Konoha's leaders are trying to capture him. I don't know where he went." Jiraiya sat Konohamaru down. "Oh, dear. That is an issue, but I may be able to help you with tracking him." They began to head back in the direction of the village. As Sakura and Kakashi watched, they followed Danzo and his entourage to a building bearing the crest of the Uzumaki clan. "What could he be after here?" Kakashi says to himself. He keeps his Sharingan active to see if he can find anything. Later, they walk out with a mask. Sakura is confused. "They came to pick up some old ritual mask? I don't get it." Kakashi then chimes in. "There is a legend that the Reaper's mask is here. Him taking this means that the Reaper has something he wants, and that is not a good sign, as the Reaper only consumes the greatest of threats." Following him back, they'd witnessed 2 of Danzo's men. One sits in a black circle while the other bears a dagger in his hand. The first dons the mask and plunges the blade into his own belly and cuts it open before passing away soon after. Once this was done, the souls within the Shinigami were freed, and the other awaits his own sacrifice. It's then that a shinobi looking over papers that were marked with Orochimaru's signet began to finish the ritual cycle. As the circle activated, ashes covered the man, and his body was transformed into a perfect vessel of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Sakura and Kakashi are confused, so they listen deeper. Minato opens his eyes. Where am I? How am I alive? Danzo steps forward as chains grip Minato. You're alive because we freed and reincarnated you. Minato is further confused. Why would you want to do that? Because something exists within you. Something we need. Your son, Naruto, has fled. But as you sealed away the Nine Tails, I know that there's some of that chakra within you. I will have you fed to the ghetto statue, and then I'll finally awaken the ultimate weapon. Sakura sees this and quickly pulls out her phone. Keep watching them, Kakashi-sensei. I gotta make a personal call. Konohamaru and Jiraiya follow the shoe prints out, using Sage Mode to pick up residual chakra signatures. They manage to find a trail that leads them further into the forest. They run through and stop only when they reach a clearing and realize that there was a second signature here. Massive. Familiar. It was then that Konohamaru gets a phone call. From Sakura. He answers. Hello? Sakura speaks her mind immediately. Please tell me that you found Naruto. Konohamaru shakes his head as if she could see him. No, we haven't, but we have a lead. Sakura sighs. I hope you find him soon. Danzo is using that statue to create a super weapon out of the chakra of all 9 chakra beasts. He just resurrected the 4th Hokage to take his Nine-Tails chakra. This is about to usher in a new world order, one run by an all-powerful tyrant. You've got to find Naruto as soon as possible. His Rinnegan may be the key to stopping this catastrophe. Konohamaru nods. Okay. He then hangs up and explains all to Jiraiya, who tells him that he believes he knows where Naruto went. Jiraiya quickly summons Fukasaku and Shima. What's up, Jiraiya boy? The elderly toad asks. Jiraiya looks to him. Please tell me that Naruto's with you. This is an emergency. The toads look to each other. Shima speaks. This was supposed to be a secret, but if it's an emergency from his friends, I think we can lead you there. Konohamaru steps forward. Is Oni-chan alright? Shima nods. He is. When he first came to us, he seemed a little shaken up, but he's been resting. Come, we'll take you to him. The sages then reverse summon themselves and their guests back to Mount Myoboku. Once there, they were led to where Naruto was sleeping. Konohamaru walks in as Jiraiya stays by the door. Kono walks over and grips his shoulders, shaking him a little. Oni-chan, he whispers. Naruto's eyes open as he panics for a moment. He looks back at Konohamaru and in a moment of terror utilizes almighty push to knock him away. Jiraiya catches him, however. Naruto sits up, breathing quickly before calming down. Kono! Oh shoot, I'm sorry, are you okay? Konohamaru dusts himself off. I'm fine, no harm done. I'm just glad I found you, it's an emergency. Sakura inches closer to Danzo. Minato looks up at the elderly man. You're crazy, you know that? You're insane! Danzo doesn't flinch. Your opinion is about to be obsolete, and so is this world's way of doing things. Remain still or I'll have your mind erased. Suddenly, Sakura comes out of nowhere, dropping down with a fist, plowing Danzo right in the spine. She hears a pop and a crack as he hits the ground. The Anbu around her begin to raise their weapons. She looks up. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lord Fourth. Minato just blinks at the pink elephant in the room. Watch out! Suddenly, Sakura realizes that Danzo is no longer on the ground below her. Huh? A chakra rod pierces her back and exits through her chest. This is the fate of all traitors. Sakura sits there for a moment before kicking back at Danzo, knocking him back. She pulls the rod through her chest and disposes of it as the wound quickly closes, her strength of 100 seal covering her body. I don't know how you survived my attack, but just know that you're not the only one here who can cheat death. The two begin to battle. Danzo seems to understand how Sakura is doing what she's doing, as this isn't the first time he's witnessed the creation rebirth technique. He realizes that this all depends upon her strength of 100 seal. He also has a time limit on his Izanagi, but he knows that all he has to do is make her sustain enough damage that her chakra runs out. After all, the strength of 100 seal is nothing more than someone pooling their own chakra to make a second reserve. He knows that all he has to do is make her use all of her chakra, which shouldn't be too hard since he has an army. The Anbu agents begin to attack Sakura. She manages to jump back but is struck by a kunai and knocked to the ground. From behind, Kakashi prepares his Raikiri attack, powerful lightning chakra coursing through his hand. Suddenly, he rushes forward and skewers 3 Anbu agents at once. Pulling his hand back, he weaves hand signs and begins to use fire-style Great Fireball Jutsu. This sends a wave of fire out at the enemy shinobi, burning many of them up. Kakashi decides to take care of the Anbu while Sakura handles Danzo. She trades blows with him, but Danzo begins to use his 6 Paths abilities, summoning the other 3 Hokage, Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Madara Uchiha as his 6 Paths, and begins to use them to fight back against her. At this, both Kakashi and Sakura are overwhelmed and captured, but due to the battle, all of Danzo's Sharingan have been used up for the Izanagi. But this does not matter. He then turns to Minato and has the Nine Tails stripped from him and devoured by the Geto statue. The statue begins to move. Danzo thanks Minato for his service and says he has earned his reward. He frees the soul of Minato and sends him to the afterlife to be with Kushina. Danzo then grabs Kakashi and Sakura and brings them with him. Just outside of the village, Naruto stands there with Jiraiya and Konohamaru, looking down at it from over the village. He sees the Ten Tails emerge from the ground and atop it is Danzo. He holds Sakura in one hand and Kakashi in the other. Naruto approaches him. Danzo! The old man looks down on the boy from atop the Ten Tails. This could have all been avoided if you had just given me the Rinnegan. This is your doing, and now you will suffer for it. Danzo smiles as he holds Kakashi and Sakura out. For a moment, time slowed as he dropped them both from his perch into the Ten Tails' mouth. Kakashi looks at Sakura once and she returns his gaze. Naruto cries out for both of them as the Ten Tails closes its mouth. Naruto roars to the heavens as the Ten Tails seems to begin breaking loose. But instead of the beast attempting to escape or take over, it submits to Naruto's will. Now, Kodama here does not have that great of a relationship with Naruto, but he will submit for two reasons. The first being that he does not want to become the Ten Tails again. The second reason being that Kodama notices that Naruto has the Rinnegan, which is supposed to be only obtainable by the Sage of Six Paths, so he allows Naruto to use his power, realizing that doing so is in everyone's best interests. And so, Naruto and Kodama enter Tailed Beast mode. Naruto stands atop the Nine Tails. The villagers below scream at what's happening and flee, but they spot Naruto atop the Nine Tails' head and begin to cheer him on. The Nine Tails begins to face off against the Ten Tails as Naruto begins to face off against Danzo. In every way, Naruto is superior to Danzo and this begins to show. Naruto has lost so much. The only family he ever knew is now dead, and it's all because of Danzo. Naruto once swore not to kill in the name of peace, but some things are just too painful. He already decided that Danzo has to die. Once he gains purchase, he knocks Danzo from the Ten Tails and follows him to ground level. Naruto's eyes are full of rage and murderous intent. Konohamaru shows up. Oni-chan, don't do it! Remember your Nindo! Naruto looks back. He killed Kakashi! He killed Sakura! I can't forgive him. Konohamaru shakes his head. No, please no, don't become like Pain. Naruto looks back and prepares to kill Danzo. As he raises his blade though, he's stopped. A pair of arms wrap around him from behind as a head lays on his back. Naruto stops. He looks back and sees Sakura there. Sakura? But how? Kakashi shows up too. My Kamui technique. Strangely, it's only supposed to be long range, but I guess I can do either under duress. Sakura looks up to him. Don't kill him, Naruto. He's not worth it. Destroy his Rinnegan and stop the Ten Tails with your own. Danzo stands and reveals a mark on his chest. If I can't control the Ten Tails, then nobody can. The seal begins to shoot black liquid out of it, a seal designed to put any who are within his range into his body upon his death. If the world will reject me as its leader, then the world can burn. Suddenly, a shadow jumps down, grabs Danzo, and disappears via teleportation. Everyone is surprised to see this. Eventually, that figure returns. It's a man in a white mask who also has a Rinnegan. Who are you? Naruto asks. The man discards his mask as he doesn't believe he'll need it anymore. Kakashi's eyes widen. No way. The man smiles. It's been a while, Kakashi. Obito, I thought you were dead. Obito runs his pale hand across his head. I did, and I've been reborn as a completely different person. Kakashi can't understand. Obito explains. After the death of Pain, I returned to Ame to retrieve his eyes. I implanted one in my own head and saved the other for a special occasion. But wouldn't you believe that I had witnessed my compatriot Black Zetsu steal the other Rinnegan and bring it to Danzo. Upon seeing this, I killed Black Zetsu for his treachery, but at the same time I did not kill Danzo, as he had more resources to finish the Ten Tails, but not enough information on how to use it. Not like me. So I merely let him do the dirty work, and when the time came, I was ready to finish what I started. Kakashi stepped forward. Stop it, Obito! This isn't like you! You were so kind and gentle! What happened to you? You happened to me, Obito shouted. You let me perish. And worse still, you let Rin perish. You killed her with your own hands. I could never forgive that. I could never live in a world without Rin. And so I'll destroy this world and remake a new one. A world where Rin is still alive. A world where there are no winners or losers. And I'm free to have my own team back. He goes to the Ten Tails and utilizes his Rinnegan to seal it inside of himself, using his own willpower to subjugate it to his will. Don't try to stop me or I'll kill you too. After all, in the world of the infinite Tsukiyomi, I can always just make a new you. Naruto steps forward. What you're doing isn't right. Forcing people into a dream world. I won't allow it. Obito looked down. Even if in the world I create, I can bring Sasuke back to life. He was like family to you, wasn't he? Don't you want to see him again? I can make it happen. Just surrender to me and I'll put you in a world where your greatest dreams come true. A tear comes to Naruto's eye as his Rinnegan remains steadfast. No, I won't let you. Because that world, just like the Sasuke you would resurrect there, wouldn't be a real one. Naruto activated Sage Mode and rushed at Obito, forming a Rasengan in his hand. He used Ameno Tejikara to switch places with one of Obito's Truth Seeker orbs and smashed his Rasengan into his back. Obito was knocked forward but seemed relatively unharmed. He turned back and the two continued to fight. Sakura and Konohamaru joined the fight as well, as did Jiraiya and Kakashi. However, Obito summoned Danzo's 6 paths, which technically he could use since Danzo and Obito shared a set of Rinnegan. Naruto and Obito continued to fight viciously until Obito stopped. You're so foolish. Maybe Nagato was right. You just haven't felt enough pain yet. He raised his hand and fired multiple wood spikes at Konohamaru, who didn't have enough time to get out of the way. Naruto used Ameno Tejikara to switch places with Konohamaru. He took on each spike point blank. He coughed blood and hit the ground. Kono rushed over and gripped him. Naruto! No! Naruto! Naruto looked up at Konohamaru and smiled. Now I know why Sasuke did it. He didn't think, he just moved. Konohamaru shook his head. No, Naruto, why? Naruto dried one of Kono's tears. Some things are worth dying for. Naruto closed his eyes. Konohamaru cried out in sorrow as Sakura rushed over to attempt medical ninjutsu, but nothing was working. Was he really dead? Obito looked out to them. See why this fight is pointless. You can't beat me. Surrender now and I'll spare your lives. For Naruto, everything was dark. There was no light, merely a ripple across a thin layer of water below his feet. Where am I? Am I dead? Technically you are, but it doesn't have to be that way, a voice said. Naruto looked around. Who are you? In the light appeared a single person. Hi, Naruto. Naruto's lip quivered. Sasuke. He rushed over and hugged him. I missed you so much, Sasuke. Sasuke patted his back. I missed you too, Naruto. He pulled away for a second. You have to go back, though. You can't let Obito win. He's gonna destroy everything worth dying for. Everything we've all sacrificed will be in vain. Naruto shook his head. I can't. I don't have the strength. He's too strong. Sasuke smiled. But you're not alone. You don't have to fight alone. You have your friends, and you have me, too. He put his hand on Naruto's chest, and Naruto would suddenly feel a rush of energy pass through him. Sasuke smiled. Now go, and defeat Obito. I'll be with you. Suddenly, Naruto gasped back to life. Sakura was shocked. Naruto's wound suddenly healed. He stood, and now a golden cloak covered him as the sun mark and moon mark appeared on both of his hands. Naruto looked up at Obito, a Rinnegan in his left eye and a Mangekyo Sharingan in his right. Naruto rushed at Obito. Obito fired wood spikes at him, and Naruto burned them up with Amaterasu. Obito summoned the Ten Tails and prepared to attack Naruto, but Naruto summoned a perfect Susanoo to do battle with the Ten Tails. The two titans clashed. Naruto suddenly shot from the Susanoo onto the Ten Tails and touched Obito with both the sun and moon mark. Suddenly, he became the center of intense gravity as his tailed beasts were ripped from him. The sphere began to rise into the sky. Naruto continued to push it higher and higher until it left the atmosphere into the deepness of space. Each of the tailed beasts that had been freed suddenly bolted, knowing that this was their chance to escape. Naruto landed on the ground and fell to his knees as the marks on his hands disappeared. His chakra cloak disappeared as his second Mangekyo Sharingan faded. Sakura ran to him and held him in her arms. You did it, Naruto! You stopped him! Naruto sat there and looked up at the celestial body as it pushed away from them. I didn't do it alone. A few days later, Naruto walked the pathway lined with cherry trees to the cemetery where Sasuke was interred. By his side were Sakura, Konohamaru, and Kakashi. In his hands, he held another bouquet of flowers. Naruto stood before the grave with the others and laid the flowers down. Thank you, Sasuke, for everything. Naruto reflected on their long journey to this point. The highs, the lows, the wins and losses. Had they suffered? Yes. But had they also been happy? Yes. It's said that the Sharingan are the eyes that can see the truth of all creation, and that truth was sometimes that love hurt. Sometimes love died. Love was a pendulum of happiness and sorrow, but we still did it anyway. Why did we open our hearts up if we knew that in the end they'd be hurt? Perhaps it was because we knew deep down that even if they were hurt, it wasn't the end of love. Maybe love didn't die. Maybe love didn't stop at the death of a person. Maybe love transcended the borders of life and death, and while life may have been filled with happiness and sorrow, it was also true that sorrow and pain, like everything else, had a time to end as well. And when it did, it would be replaced by something else precious. Naruto looked down at Konohamaru, who had truly grown in the time he knew him. He ruffled his hair a little as the boy smiled. Naruto then looked to Sakura. Sometimes it was only through the fires of pain that love could be tempered into a fine blade worthy of a warrior of peace. It was this truth that Naruto witnessed by viewing life through the Sharingan that he'd been gifted those many years ago, and though their original owner was now dead and gone, they continued to view the world and show all those who used them the truth of life. Naruto leaned closer, as did Sakura. Their lips touched and gave proof that love was like a perennial flower. You plant it once and that seed sprouts, and though the flower dies in the bitter winter, it's resurrected in the springtime to blossom anew. This was the lesson the Sharingan had showed Naruto, and it was one he was happy to have learned. And that's it. That was the final chapter of this What If. That is, unless you would like me to drop a side story later about it, which may happen if this video is shared enough. I hope you truly enjoyed this as much as I did. It was a long journey that we all went through with this new Naruto, and I'm glad to see it reach its proper conclusion. It made us laugh, it made us cry, but most of all, it showed us that love can make a hero out of anyone. Love is what makes a true shinobi. That's why my nindo will always be to love those I've met as well as those I've never met. And I know that if enough of you take up this nindo too, we can change the world for the better, just like Naruto does. So, my wonderful shinobi of the village hidden in the Amagi, shall we let this story's love remain within this infinite Tsukiyomi dream, or shall we bring it with us into the world and show everyone what it means to be a true ninja? The choice is up to you, but I know what I'm going to choose, and I'll let the will of fire burn bright. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below and tell us about it. Let us know your ideas. If we like them, you might just end up seeing your idea on this very channel. Until next time, peace out and God bless.
Did you enjoy our video? Well, then be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.